Hey everybody, it's CheckTheFX coming at you with another Minecraft tutorial, and today we're going to be going over some advanced stuff that probably has never been done on the YouTube Minecraft community before. I know I've been doing this actually for about a couple of years now. I've been developing these systems where you can actually communicate over long distances using nothing but item filters. So without further ado, let's get to the tutorial. So in my last tutorial I went over item filters, both the versions for the stackable items and also a variant of how to separate your stackable items from your non-stackable items. Of course, there is a set of other item filters that you have that are specifically for non-stackable items, but today we're not going to be getting into that. What I want to do is focus on the full capabilities of these two humble item filters, these two types of item filters, the ones that have been used for so long, and from what I can see, these mechanisms have not reached their full potential in the redstone community, and there's a lot you can do with these things. And the nice thing about item filters is that you can use them to make decisions. Now in this case it's just, I choose which item goes in here, and goes out this side, or which item goes, happens to pass over. Well, one thing that we're forgetting is that these item filters are letting out a redstone signal at a point wherever this item would go in, or you can also get a comparator on the other side and then use that to get another redstone signal. So I have a condition that's made is that when an item falls through here, send out a redstone signal and then do whatever it is what you want to do with that redstone signal. And I'm going to be using both this version and this version of the item filter in order to demonstrate that. Now what I have here is a mechanism that I like to call my binary decision making contraption, or whatever. I want to call it like a binary brain or a binary decision making system or binary messaging system. Whatever the case may be, or whatever you want to call this thing, the idea is that when an item comes in, it'll do one of two actions. Even though it's got 4 filters, or 3 filters, or 6 filters, or 2 filters, it doesn't matter. The minimum requirement is that you have at least 2 filters, one on this side and one on the other side. And then you can have, if you want, 2 or 3 on this side, 2 or 3 on that side. It doesn't really matter because it's only going to perform one of 2 actions. So let's just show this here. So for instance, if I open up my chest here, you'll see I've got some items here, and what I've to have this done is it's rigged so that it'll either push up this piston and thus turn the redstone lamp on because it'll be next to this redstone block, or if you look inside this dispenser, you have some firework rockets there and it'll launch the fireworks. So this is the demonstration. It's just for purely demonstration purposes, and over a lot of other practical uses you can have for this. So let's go ahead and do that. So for instance, you go here and let's say, okay, I want to fire a rocket, and this all depends on my previous decision. Now the previous decision was that I had fired a rocket. So let's go ahead and do this. So I'll just go ahead and I'm going to extend the piston. So let's go ahead and extend the piston. So I put one in there, and there we go. Okay, and there it goes. It goes ahead and extends your piston, and you have your red lamp turn on. Now, if I want to, for instance, light the lantern, right, and go ahead and put that in, it's not going to do anything because it's already extended. And also, I'm using a latch mechanism here. It'll only change, in this case, when you alternate between them. Okay, so that's what I'm doing here. So we can go ahead and if I take a look over here, again I'm going to hit on light the lantern and quickly go and look. You'll see that comparator turns on that side. Now if I go ahead in here and I put fire a rocket, you'll see that comparator launch, and then there you go, I get myself a fireworks that comes out. Again, if I hit let's see, I'm going to go show a fireworks display. It's already set, so the comparator hits that. Of course it goes into the latch and nothing comes out, right? So it's only set so that I have one or the other. Now if I wanted to, I can just remove the latch completely and then just have these little simple mechanisms attached to either comparator, and they'll just go whenever one of these two happen to fire off, or one of these two comparators. They'll have it fire off, and there you go. You get your signal there, right? So that's all it is. It's just basically to make one of two actions occur based on the items that come through here. Now you can use either a hopper pipe, you can use a water trough, or you can use rails. This part here doesn't really matter as long as it's a method that allows items to be traversed over these item filters. The same like you have with a situation like over here or over with this one over here, right? As long as you have a method to have the items traverse over these item filter hoppers, then you'd be able to get your result, your desired result that's there. So first of all, we have our two locations, location 2, and this is going to be over here, location 1. Over here is location 1. Now I have my cart returning back over there to location 2 eventually. So let's go ahead and have it send a message. I'm going to say I need more iron. So location 2 needs more iron. And you'll see in the back here that it's dropped a name tag that has a message attached to it. And that name tag has been renamed to the appropriate message. Now you'll see eventually the minecart comes, picks up the message, and brings it all the way over here. There we go. Now if I go over here, this is where the iron will be dropped off. So when it comes over, it should eventually drop off some iron into here. There we go, there's your iron ingot. It gets picked up by the minecart. You can see if I just right click it properly while it's on the way. Oop, missed it. There it is. And it's also coming back with a returned message. So now if you look in here, there's nothing in there, and there we go, there popped in our iron ingot, right? So now let's go back to location 1, and let's go say we need iron over here. So we're going to click on that, and it says it needs iron. It drops your message. That one's slowly going inching over. Picks up the message, and you can see in here I have no iron, right? So this is going to go over here. Mind you, I had to move along with it because it has to go in the loaded trunks, right? So it'll go to do its thing, and it's going to come back. There it goes. And then when I look back over here, it's going to go ahead and deliver your iron ingot right into your chest. So let's say I have something else I need to have at location 2. I'll say I need a minecart. So let's go ahead and drop our message there. Our minecart will come and pick it up. It goes around, and there it goes over to location number 1. It'll then go up and then deliver the message. And then it'll go down and pick up your minecart from there. Well, let's double check to see if it managed to pick up the minecart. Yes, it did that time. Oops. And if you go over here, you'll see eventually there's your minecart for you to use. So let's say we have another thing. Okay, let's say minecart's overloaded. So I'm going to send a message saying minecart's overloaded. Now I have it rigged so that if you hit the minecart's overloaded button, it's just going to launch a firework down that side. Again, this is just a demo. It's just for simplicity's sake that I've decided to build this so that you all get an idea of what it's like, right? So there it goes. It picks up the message. It'll go all the way over here, and then you'll see once it gets over there that it'll send off a firework. There it is. There's your firework. And these mechanisms are completely separated redstone wise, and all they're doing is just allowing messages to go between each other. So I have a control mechanism that allows me to control whatever happens on the other side here, so whatever happens over that side is controlled over here without any type of connection of redstone wire, etc. If I wanted a direct connection of redstone wire from here to there, you know, as long as if it's one line, that's one thing. See, there we go, it goes again. It got control from that. If I want to do this, I can do it again over on this side. If I can quickly get that button. Okay, this time it got picked up an iron ingot. It's going to go pick up an iron ingot. Right? But yeah, if you had redstone running between the two, and let's say you had 10 different decisions that you had to make between the two, that means 10 separate lines of redstone that you need to have in order for this thing to work the way you want it to. So this is actually going to be a bit of a problem in that case, because with 10 lines of redstone, that's going to get not just laggy, but it's also going to get fairly expensive in terms of space is concerned. With this system, you only have 1 or 2 lines. So in this case, we only have 1 line of rail, or you have maybe 1 or 2 lines of hoppers. I probably said 2 lines of hoppers if you want to go in 2 ways, or maybe you want to have 2 lines of rail. And you never have to exceed that, you know, 2 or 3 block wide limit, right? See, so that one was controlled completely by that one over there. So you can essentially remote control either side of these depending on what message gets sent between the two. Again, the applications that you can use for this are fairly extensive, and I'm planning on using these in various other builds that will allow my builds to go ahead and continue to communicate with each other over long distances. This is a very key build in some, you know, fairly intelligent systems that you can use. It's essentially, the idea is very close to computer networking in a way. You have a set protocol that goes back and forth, and then that information is just sent over a line or a pathway that will allow that message to be received on another end. And which way it goes is completely up to you. You can have it go over multiple rails, over different directions to multiple stations, and you'll be able to have those 2 stations communicate. So actually, for instance, a good application for this, let's say you have one rail station here and another rail station over there, and let's say that rail station has very few minecarts and this one is overloaded with minecarts. Well, this one can send a message to that one saying that's overloaded, or that one can send a message to this one over there. Location 1 can send one message to location 2 saying that it needs more minecarts, and whichever one you want to have it based off of, then what happens is you have a minecart that will come with the message to one of the two. So in this case, you'll have the minecart coming over here with a message from this one saying, I need more minecarts, and it comes over here, and then it'll then pick up a minecart from here after it's delivered the message, and then go back home with the minecart. And as you can see, that's exactly what's been demonstrated here. I will tell you right now, I have probably developed a couple of the very first smart warehouse and smart rail system mechanisms thanks to this. Now, when I'm talking about smart rail, I'm not talking about you have a single railway with a minecart that comes from one side, and then you get off, it pops off, and ends up in the other, ends up where you started. That's not exactly what I consider a smart rail system. For anything to be considered a smart mechanism, or in this case a smart rail system, it would have to be able to make several decisions, and that's where this comes in. Now, I do have a tutorial on how to build a smart rail switching system, and I will be having tutorials in the future on how to make an official smart rail station. These are the very core of how to do that, and I'm going to be having that in my upcoming tutorials. So do look forward to that, and in the meantime, I'm going to go about how to build each of these, starting with that little system over there. So let's start off by building this mechanism over here, the very basic version of it. And to do this, we're going to start off by building your basic item filters. So if you haven't seen my tutorial on item filters, I would suggest that you please take a look at that before you go about building this, so that you get a proper understanding of how item filters work. So that would be in the tutorial that I did previous to this one. So first of all, we're going to, of course, build our item filters like so, and we're going to take your comparator, just put like that, and then put like this, and take a hopper, put that in there, and then what you're going to do is you're going to take a couple of hoppers like this, put that in there, have this one face into this one go this way, we're going to take this one and then break it, and then we're going to have this face into here like so. So we have something that starts off like this. Now what we're going to do is repeat building our item filters like so, so that you have one for each condition that you need. In this case, we have 4 conditions. So we're going to build 4 item filters. And you want to have all the conditions that are for one output have to go on one side, while all the others would go on the opposite side. Okay? So let's go ahead and do this. And I'm going to go ahead and build this, and we'll come back when we're done. So now we have our 4 item filters. So your 2 for one decision and 2 for the other. Again, like I said before, if you want, you can make this 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 on this side, and 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 on this side, whatever the situation calls for. Okay? So once you have this set up, the next thing you're going to do is you're going to go ahead and build a pipeline that goes into a central block. So for instance, let's go ahead and put your block like this, and put another one here like this. And next we're going to do is you take a single hopper, put that down facing into the block, and then take another hopper facing into that, another one, right click on the side here, another one in here. So this way you have a pipeline leading into this hopper from this side, and another pipeline coming from this side into the same hopper going down. Okay. Next you're going to take this block out, and you're going to put maybe another hopper, or you can go ahead and take a chest or whatever, something to stick your items into once this is done. Okay. We're also going to take a block over on this side and a block on this side, and then you'll be able to take a comparator and to put that here and put that there. Now you have your decision making mechanism. That's pretty much it. Now if you intend on having the signal from these comparators go over a longer distance rather than just having it over just one block, then I would suggest putting an extra pair of blocks on here and here, and then getting yourself some repeaters, and there you go. Now that signal can go much further. If you want this to go as is, you can then just put your outputs on here, however, like that. So you have your left light and your right light, and then what you do is you just go ahead and put your item filters in. So let's go ahead and prepare those. So there we go, we're all set. I've got my entire set of filters all set up here. Nice. See? So, and they all have my individual conditions set. So next thing you're going to do is you're going to have a means to have the messages delivered here. Now I could use a hopper pipe if I want to, but this time around I'm going to use a railway. So let's say I'm using a rail. So I'm going to go ahead and put this block here, put a block here, and put a block over here. Okay, and I'm going to extend this out a little further, keep this like that, and I'll keep it like this there, extend out. There we go. Gonna get myself some rails, so put my powered rail over here, powered rail over here, and then I'm going to take some regular rails and have the regular rails pass right over my mechanism, like so. There we are. So now all I have to do is get myself some buttons. So I'm going to get myself some wooden ones just for the heck of it. Now I'm just going by the seat of my pants, so to speak, doing this ad lib. And there you go. Now you're going to get yourself a minecart with a chest or with a hopper cart, either the minecart with hopper or minecart with chest. I'm going to choose the chest one. Okay, and put that in. Now, if I open this up, I can now put in a message. So this side it says extend the piston, right, or light the lantern, and this is show fireworks display or fire a rocket. Okay, now what I've done is in this case I've have it so it's just a straight line going into each one. So let's say I really want to have this thing fire a rocket. I can actually just do that if I want to, just switch it up by doing something like this. Take this one out, and then just load some rockets in. Simple as that. Now those rockets don't have any type of colors or things like that. It's just going to shoot out. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to fire a rocket. So I'm going to go ahead and put that in there. There we go. It's going to go along like this. There goes my rocket, and it just flew off. Let's say I want to switch on the light, so I'll extend the piston, or as they say, turn on the lantern. So I'm going to go ahead and light the lantern. Right? There it goes. Now in this case I have no latch that's there. So because I have no latch, I can do something like show a fireworks display and extend the piston, or in other words, this case, turn on the light, right? And then if I do that, both of them end up happening, right? Without the latch mechanism that I have here, both of them will go on because you have a message in here that's for both of them. Now if I were to put all of these in, the number of times that each one would fire would be dependent on how often these comparators toggle. So if there's a little bit of space in between when the items pass through these hoppers, then you'll see this end up toggling on and off really quickly. And when it toggles, you'll see that one of these is going to go off fairly quickly twice. So let's go ahead and do this. And in that time, you see that it's the light here that goes off first. Now that's because it ends up having a high speed, the cart that is, has a high speed going across like this, and then slows down. So it has more of a delay between when it comes across these two than when it comes across these two. Now if I happen to take the same thing again, and then put that there, so we have fire rocket, show fireworks show, light a lantern, and extend the piston. Now we do all doing this way, and you'll see it fires 2 rockets, right? And that's all due to the speed at which the filters end up receiving the items. Because it's slowing down over here, that's why it ends up with 2. Now in order to avoid having double signals put in, and then of course you could do something like, add a delay on here, for instance. So if I were to put them again here, and now if I send that off, let's see what happens now. Now it's solid because you've got a full delay on there. Now if we go ahead and do it again in the opposite direction, we should get the same thing where it only fires once. See? Only one time. And that's because now we've got a bit of a delay here on these repeaters. That means there's more than enough time for the items to be received by the chest, even when it's slowing down, and it'll only send out 1 pulse to its respective output. So now this mechanism is a little bit more complicated than that previous one, in that you can have multiple decisions, multiple messages that are communicated between the 2 stations, or 3 stations for that matter. Okay, and you can do this with an endless number of stations. The level of complexity, of course, will increase with the number of stations that you have. Now, of course, I've kept this simple with only 2 stations, but you could also, use something like that to help you with being able to divert between different stations. So let's take a look at this and see what's involved. So in this case, we have location number 2 over here on this side, and location number 1 on that side. So if we look at this on the back, all this is the set of buttons that go into some dispensers, and whenever you push the button on the panel, it just has the items dispensed out of the dispenser. Okay, now let's look on top. Over here you'll see a set of item filters, and the first set is the ones that allow you to make some sort of action happen or make a decision. The others essentially catch your previous message that was probably sent out for there. Let's say they have an excess of messages from location 1. Well, that takes those messages and brings it back to location 1, thus reloading your dispenser automatically. So you don't have to ever worry about, okay, I had to go back to location 1 and then pick up the messages, put them back in their respective filters or their respective dispensers in order for them to start working again. It is completely automated, completely automatic. Okay, the only part that you have to unload or whatever is, in this case, this section here with the large chest, which is our output, so to speak, for end effect. Now you also have, in that case, you have this end effect, which be like you're shooting a rocket or whatever the case is. You have various different operations that you can do with this side here that doesn't have the dispensers. This side with these dispensers is just for message reloading into the dispenser so that you continue using it automatically without having to worry about it. Also, messages that are received on this end should be put into a return system such as the one over here, so that they can be picked up by the minecart, as you can see go over there, and then be sent on its merry way back to its original station. So in that case, messages received by location 2 from location 1 will be picked up and received again by location 1 so that they can be put back into their respective dispensers. To build one of these stations, I'm going to go ahead and use our existing model off of here, and I'm going to convert this into a 2-station system which allows for 2 actions to occur. So first of all, you're going to need to look at my previous tutorial on how to build this particular type of item filter. So once you've gone back and done that, please come back and take a look at this. I will leave a link in the description to the previous one. Once you've got this built, the next thing you want to do is be able to put all the mechanisms that will make this work. So we're going to go ahead and add our dispensers in like so, and that way we have our way to return our messages into the dispensers. Okay, next thing you're going to have your panel, and that's going to have to come out from here. So let's put this out like this and then break these 2 blocks over here. Next you're going to take this up like so. There we go. And you're just going to take a repeater and put the repeaters in like this. Then you get yourself a button and put your buttons on like so. There we go. Now you got a method that's going to allow you to turn your dispensers on and off. There you go. So that's going to allow you to dispense your messages. Okay, and this is where you're going to receive your messages. Next, we're going to take a look at these 2 item filters, which are going to receive messages from the other station in order to perform an action at this particular station. So in order to do that, we have your items set up like this, but we have to divert the path of the hoppers into something else. So let's go ahead and take this here, put this like so. So there we have our little hopper pipe going like that. And then, whoops, next thing you know is you're going to have to put another hopper like that. There you go. See? So once that's done, you've got your pipeline for receiving the items back. Next, what we're going to do is take the output lines from these 2 filters, the ones that are receiving messages in order to make an action done. They're going to come out from these 2 filters. So let's go ahead and try to do that. So we're going to take a block and go ahead and put this up like so. Okay, then we're taking another block and we're going to take this out like so. We don't need these 2 blocks here. And now we can go ahead and take your redstone current here, redstone current here. So let's see, we can go ahead and do like this, and like you can put this lamp over here and this one here. There we go. So now we've got 2 ways for us to get a redstone current in there. So we actually can usually do like this too, if you want to. So that comes out like that. So there we go. It all depends how you want to set it up, really. Once you have, you can have this here, and then bring the line out. This here, and then you have a line coming out, for instance. And then all you do is just take your redstone current from here, and then take your other redstone current coming out from here, for instance, and then you can just take a line, redstone toward, you know, your repeaters, and put it like that if you want. Completely up to you how you want to set this up. Again, this is not for your novice builder. If you're a novice at redstone and you don't understand how redstone works, you may want to review a few of my other previous redstone videos before you start taking this on. So and essentially it's just you have an output that comes out either from this redstone torch or this redstone torch, or if you don't want it inverted, you can have it come out like this, and then just have your output coming from this line here and one coming from this line here, right? So like for instance, I can do something like put this like this. I can also put another one like over here, right? And then if I want to, I can stick another one here, wherever the case is. And the idea is that I have a line that I can hook up to whatever it is that I want to have happen. Completely up to you what you want to do with this, right? Just try and make sure that whatever you do not connect them like that, right? So if this is out like this, you want to make sure you have a redstone thing there, or if you have a redstone repeater there, or you can put the repeat thing like this, and then you put another block on top in order to disconnect the lines, and there you go. Then after that you can do something like, there you go, put 2 redstone torches on there, and then attach that to your output. Now what I've done here is I've added 2 droppers to this mechanism to make it a little more practical, in order to have whatever it is, depending on whatever is entered in here, you'll end up with a corresponding item dropped out of these droppers. In this case we have lapis lazuli in here, and in this case we have our gold ingots. In order to get the rail system built for this, depending on if you have an individual minecart or whether it's a train or not, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and have this little thing that goes across like this, and you have another area here where you'll be able to have the items dropped on here. Now this type of setup is suited for a minecart with a hopper. In order to use it with a chest, you'd have to change this dropper into some sort of inventory block and have a hopper below it, which will receive a constant current, and then when you push the button, it's set so that you only have one item get into the hopper, and then that hopper would then allow the item to go in your minecart with a chest. But we're going to just use the minecart with a hopper in it, just for simplicity's sake. Once you have your platform ready, you're going to go ahead and put your rails going right underneath where your droppers are. For the top section, I would strongly recommend putting powered rails. The reason is because you could actually toggle the power rails in order to have the minecart slow down. We're also going to stick 2 rails on either side over here. Next we're going to have some detector rails on either side like this and like this. Next you're going to set up a latch mechanism that looks something like this, and the latch itself is going to be fed in a redstone current from this detector rail by doing so. Next we're going to take a redstone current out from here and feed that into a very fast clock. Once you have your platform built over here, you're going to take 2 redstone dust and then make that wire like this. Take a comparator, put that down, put down a repeater, make that at 1 tick, and then have it come around like so. Next you take the redstone current from the clock and feed it into your power rail. Place 1 button on this side of the latch and another one on top of the latch like so, or over here. Whichever one, doesn't really matter on either side. You can also, if you want, I would say put it on top just to make it a little bit easier to access. Next, we're going to take a path of blocks, building blocks, and have them go from this detector rail all the way back over to here. Then you're going to take a redstone repeater, put that there, take a block, put that right over here in order to make sure that any redstone dust over here doesn't get connected to that one there. And then you're going to just put redstone wire, redstone dust all the way over to this detector rail like so. If you want, you can also boost the signal by using a repeater, just by doing like so. Small correction with the clock, and you want to take this redstone repeater out, this redstone dust out, place the clock repeater this way, and also then take the redstone dust and place that over there. Now your clock should work just fine. In order to test it, all you do is push this button over here, and you'll see it starts to pulse very, very quickly. If you want to turn that off, just push this button in order to reset it, and there you go, it'll turn off. In order to add a receptacle, in order so that we can receive items, we're going to add this block over here, then break this one over here. Go ahead and put it in a hopper, the faces into this block, then break this one over here, and then add this in here. That way any miscellaneous items that get received from the other system will end up going into this hopper. Take a chest and add that over here. Next we're going to take our line and then try to bring that down. Once you've constructed your pathway, that's going to bring your rail back down again. Then you're going to take your rails and go all the way around like so. This should have enough momentum to be able to bring it all the way down. Just to be on the safe side, you want to add yourself a powered rail over on here, so that when it passes by this, it's going to end up going all the way down. Once you have your rail set up, you can actually have a path going down like so, coming around like this, going up and over and onto the rail over here. Now you can also have this rail coming up here and going into here as well. Okay, now you can figure this out. This is something I just did ad lib. It's really just for demonstration purposes, but once it's set up, you can take your minecart, go ahead and give it a nudge, and there it goes on its merry way. You'll see it going across just like the one that I had previously built. And there it goes back and forth. In this case, what had happened is that this would eventually hook up to a second one, right? And then you just put in your messages into your individual item filters that are over on this section over here, like this one here, where it says extend the piston, for instance. And by this one it says it's extend the piston, but it's essentially hooked up to the lapis lazuli that's over there. So it would dispense lapis lazuli. Now in the case if you have items that need to be sent back to the other station, you're going to have with these droppers being set up like this, right? And then the droppers are going to have to drop the items onto a platform like this one over here, right? Then you have to have, like, the best thing to do is have a rail going back and forth with a hopper minecart that then goes back and forth between the platform and where you have these hoppers that will be here. This would allow you to feed items back into the chest and also pick up any messages along the way. So let's say we want some lapis lazuli. We'd have to be at our other station for that case. But let's say we had some that we want to have delivered here. So for this, I'm going to go ahead and disconnect this portion here so that I have my cart in a stop state. Then I'm going to go ahead and put myself a button over here. And then I'm going to put the, in this case, it's the extend piston item that's going to allow me to get my lapis lazuli. Okay, so let me go ahead and push the button. There it goes. It'll go off and it's going to fetch your lapis lazuli. So now when I look at my cart, you have lapis lazuli there. From this point, you just go ahead and have it sent off to wherever you want to go. You're essentially done with this particular section of the station, and you can always go ahead and take this and expand further and make it into something else, make it more, add more functionality, have your outputs do more. It's just a matter of changing up what's on this end over here. What really matters are these two inputs. So basically the current come out of here and the current coming out of this redstone torch. Those are the 2 points which are the most important, because that's where you're going to have the ability to make decisions or have an action executed based on a particular redstone signal. So you could essentially have like 5 or 6 redstone signals that are being sent off from here, maybe even 20 redstone signals coming out of here, but all of them are being traversed over a single line. Well, that's it for today's tutorial. I hope you managed to find it informative and useful. Please do like, subscribe, and hit that bell for notifications. Also, if you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the comments section below. Just remember to keep them clean. This is Check the Effects, signing off. I'll see you in the next video. Peace.